Hello everyone and welcome to a Feed the Beast Infinity. I think we're going to call it a Let's Play. It may just be a pop in, do one thing type thing since I've already started playing. So we'll kind of see how it goes, but we're standing here in the dome I built for the witchery mods. Kind of just a little bit of greenery around here to get our altar up to a decent amount of power for the point when we do decide to do something. Playing on a private server here with one other person. So he's currently handling Thalmcraft and a few other of the mods and just kind of delving into those so we're both not running over the same things over and over again. So what the goal for today is to take our little building guide here and try to find a spot to build a dome for Botania. Because so far, Botania is the one mod I've deliberately stayed away from. I haven't harvested any of the flowers. I haven't done anything with it. I haven't even made a book for it. So I kind of want to get into that just to get it in place, because there are some alchemy recipes for it that could come in useful when we get into witchery for like duplicating clay and things like that. And just about stepped on my little ender lilies there. So I'm going to try to decide where I want to put it. Right now I'm actually thinking, because all these are actually domes, what I'm thinking about doing is actually kind of coming off to one of the sides at an angle, creating a dome with a bunch of elevator blocks to jump us up and down so we can, kind of move up into the air and then have it as kind of a floating bowl type thing up in the air. Kind of like basically just an inverted dome with a dirt on top of it. I'll probably go for more of an oval shape just to give myself some room up there. Probably make it fairly shallow, that way it's a little bit easier to build, takes up some more space without being just plain huge. More than likely going to use these. It's the cobblestone chiseled into the detailed cobblestone bricks. It's what I've been using as the foundation for all the domes, because cobblestone is one of those things you usually have a ton of. And then I'm using this little Steve's Factory Manager here to harvest ender pearls. It just waits for this thing to grow, it harvests it and then replants it, and I've just got 3 other ones sitting here. Tried to extend it off using some of the advanced cable clusters, and for some reason the process flow, even when I added a couple extra steps in here, ended up just basically destroying the flowers as opposed to actually letting them grow. So that didn't work out very good. But so far, I've got this area chunk loaded, so this stays running. Came in here earlier today and had 7 ender pearls sitting here waiting for me, plus these were sitting here ready. So it makes for a nice little constant flow of ender pearls. It's not great, not fast, but for this stage in the game, a few every so often is more than enough. So what I'm going to do now, I think, is try and decide where I want that dome to be, because we're going for kind of a dome flow here. So I'm trying to decide if I want it off the witchery dome, kind of over here in the northeast corner, or if I want it over the water in the northwest, where I want to put it, because it's going to be off at an angle compared to the others, and then just kind of go from there. But once I decide on a location and kind of get the basis of the initial dome set up, we'll come back and see what we can do from there. Alright, so I've come up with a location for the new dome. It's going to be right here, off of the tunnel from the main location into the witchery dome. So it's going to be right here. It's only a little 7 wide. It's going to be a sphere. Either that or I'm just going to fill it in below. I'm not quite sure yet. But got a column in here so I can get the initial placement for the first elevator block. Looks like I can have 19 blocks in between each elevator pad. So that's what we're going to go with. The dome is going to look like this. Now what I'm going to do is I want to get this dome completed. I'm going to need to leave probably 1 open space there. I'm going to test it with a block there to see if the elevator can go through it or not. Also need to come up with something to put around the elevator blocks. They're not just a block floating in the open there, and not to worry about people falling off. But as I normally am rather quiet when I build, I'm just going to get this dome done and then try to get probably maybe 1 or 2 more elevator blocks in place, and then I'll be back and we will see what's going to be next. Alright, so I got the initial dome done. Got an elevator pad in there. I've got 20 blocks and then another 20 blocks up there. Got the initial, kind of the start done for the landing pad up here. It needs to go a little higher until it's level with that block right there, and that builder's block or builder's got to be replaced with another elevator block. And then this will be capped off with dirt. I'm going to light this whole thing up on the inside and just kind of seal it off for now. Could be used later if it turns out to be needed, but for the most part I'm just going to kind of finish off this level and see if I can finish off this level. My mouse has been giving me a little bit of trouble here with not responding the way it's supposed to. So we'll see how that goes. That's why I kind of pushed through a little bit of the progress here to try and make a little bit of headway, because every once in a while it places an extra block or doesn't place a block or just starts randomly hitting blocks. It's an odd little glitch. I have to check the plugs and make sure everything's plugged in right. But we're going to finish off this level and the next one, and then get that grassed off, and then start working on the interconnection to where the next the actual landing dome will be. So where the actual dome will be, that we're going to put all the Botania, or start putting the Botania stuff, like the chalice and just different pieces to get Botania up and running. Kind of get some flowers, get some mana generation, things like that. Just enough to get to the point where we can create an alchemy stone. Oops. And then kind of see what we're going to do after that. But that's the goal right now, is just to get some basic mana generation, or at least a place for basic mana generation to happen up and running, and then kind of start from there. So we've got a basis for whatever else we decide to do in the future. And that should be this. So now it's just a matter of getting over there. And then getting our elevator block in place. Making sure it still works, which it does. I do need to do something with this one right here, because this one is a little bit of a death wish if you're not careful. So I want to get something around it so you land, but you're not going to fall off and not have to worry about anything like that. But get some dirt up here, and then I'm going to have to get some grass brought up here so I kind of get a little bit of greenery going. But I'm going to get this section done, see if I can figure out what's wrong with my mouse, and then I'll be back. Okay, so we got this dome set up with all the dirt and leveled off. Need to get some grass up here and maybe add a little bit more to it, because it's just a little flat and boring right now. Went with some stairs here. Unfortunately, the chiseled steps don't make stairs, so had to go with this. Went with just a straight limestone, just to drop it down a little bit so you come in overlooking what will be the new area, which I've started on here. It's a fairly decent size. I mean, it's 21, 3 tall, and 31. So it's got some size to it. You can see by we turn this thing on here. It goes for a ways. I mean, it's going to go way out there. So it should give us enough room to have a couple patches of mana generation, things like that. But just want to pop back and show you where we're at right now. And then I'm going to finish this level, get it leveled off. So I've got this level that I'm working on right now. This one, and then once I get that ring around the edge there, that's when what I'll do is I'll start putting the dirt in here and get that set up, and then that's when we're gonna see if we can move on, maybe make a couple flowers and get a little bit of mana generation going and see what we can do from there. But I will be back. One of those things that's always so easy to forget is how much material it takes to do some of these things. I think I've run out of cobblestone 3 times now. So back to the chisel, and then this time I actually brought a barrel of cobblestone up, so hopefully that'll last me. In hindsight, building the dish, this shallow, may not have been the best idea as far as building goes, because trying to use the builder's guide through this much is it's been interesting. I think it'll still look good when it's done, which is kind of the goal, but it's made it a little difficult to tell where you are when there's so many layers. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to find an inverted dome in the builder's guide, so I pretty much have to use a circle and then just only build the lower half of it. So hopefully at some point in the future I'll find a way to invert the dome and save myself some trouble, but until then it means that I need to go kind of slow through this so I can make sure that I get each spot, and then when I'm done I'm going to have to go underneath it and look at it and make sure I didn't miss anything, because right now I get the feeling on the side opposite this one I may have a block out of place, which will probably drive me insane if I see it. So it comes around here and around there, and overall it's taking shape pretty slowly. Well, pretty quickly actually, but running through my cobblestone supply really fast. And I've got the lip, and I need to finish this entire level, and then I'll put a lip around the edge of it, and then I'll just need to go get a barrel of dirt and cover it in. What I'm probably going to do is actually put dirt on this layer and then just leave this layer open since I can't walk in here anyways. It'll also mean if I need to put any water sources in the ground or anything like that, they'll just sit flat on that. But it should work out hopefully, and then we'll see how that goes and keep pushing forward on this, and when it's done, pop back just before we start on the dirt. Alright, it's time to take a look at this thing without the builder's guide in place and see how it looks. So let's run over here. That shouldn't be that bad. That should work out pretty good as far as just getting enough area. Like I said, this isn't going to be a really big Botania setup. The idea is the bulk of this space will probably be used for mana generation and a couple mana pools, things like that. Maybe eventually like an elven portal, to go that direction or see how it goes. But for now, we need to go get a whole bunch of dirt. Luckily, we keep a bunch of these things on hand. I've got a wisp spawner I've been holding in there until I have a chance to add it to the blaze spawners I've got over in this tower over there. The wisps are a little bit harder to deal with than blazes since they tend to fly around all the time as opposed to sinking to the ground where they'll die to the iron spikes. We'll take that one. And then we stash it in the bag. That way we don't have to worry about the slowness debuff, and that thing is just huge. Yeah, I thought I had my mouse fixed, but it's still acting a little flaky, and we're going to have to kill some things when we get up there. Oh, nope, they're outside. That's good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back into our bag, pull out our cart, or our dolly, that back, and then get a whole ton of dirt. Things away. And let's see how this looks when we get it started here. Cannot seem to aim very well today. I keep missing blocks left and right, and I can't even blame the mouse anymore since I know it's me. Yeah, this should work out. Alright, so I'm going to get some dirt laid down since I'm going to do this layer. This layer here is going to be covered with dirt, and then this layer here will be covered in dirt. Eventually I want to think of something to put around the edge. I may just go with like a glass pane or something. I'll also have to take a look at the other fence posts from the different mods that add in to see if there's one that looks okay. Just have something around the edge to make sure you don't kind of walk off while you're looking at something. But other than that, I mean, I'm not really going to do much as far as that goes. This will be a fairly flat setup since the idea is basically just to get a kind of a place for the generation of power, things like that. It's not really meant to look overly pretty, and then we'll kind of see what happens, but there might be something we can add to it. But for now, dirt and then back. Alright, so I got this entire area covered in dirt, and it took about 42 stacks of dirt to get this double layered and then the entire thing covered up to this point. You can see we've got a little too high gap in here, so if we do need to put anything in here, got a little spot where we can hide it, so I'm going to put that back. I am going to need to figure out something for either lighting or maybe a magnum torch hidden underneath it to keep this area from turning into one massive spawn pad when it gets dark, because you can see if we hit F7 here, this place will be a nightmare at night, because it's wide enough that if you're standing here or even in the middle, things are going to spawn all around you and basically converge and squash you. So, but for now, what I'm going to do is going to go dig up some Botania flowers. Once I harvest a whole bunch of those, or at least the materials necessary, I want to get a chalice made and at least 1 or 2 pure daisies, so we can start generating some living wood and living stone. And then that's kind of the goal right now. We may end on that just to kind of have a point where we can stop and then kind of gather up the rest of the resources for anything else we might need. But we're going to start with that, and I'll be back after I get some flowers. Alright, let's get going with creating some of the Botania stuff. Picked up a whole bunch of different flowers. What we need to start out with is a Lexica Botania. So we're going to need a single sapling and a book. And then in here, we need the basics. The next thing we're going to need is a petal apothecary. Which recipe, there it is. Alright, so we need any one of the leaves. 4 cobblestone, 2 slabs. Okay. Manage chest. I put those in. No organization whatsoever yet. Alright, now we need 4 cobblestone. Okay. Now to get the petals, all we need to do is break one of these. Which one do I? We'll do a purple one. So you just craft it, you get 2 petals. So we got 2 petals, 2 slabs, and some cobble. And there's our petal apothecary. Now, do I have a bucket? Because we'll need to fill this. I do. Alright, because we need to fill it with water. And what we're going to do is we're going to do this down here because I don't remember exactly what we've got for materials. I'm just going to stick it in a hole temporarily because you have to be able to throw the things into the top, and it's so much easier if it's in a hole. What we're going to do is pull out that, assuming I can get it out of there. Okay. And bucket of water. Okay. Now, we want to get those pure white daisies made. That is under enemy of the generation functional. Or not. It's been a while. They move things around. Basic. That's what I get for not looking it up first. Let's just do it this way. See if we can find it. Somewhere in here. There we go. Okay, so here. Pure white daisy. There we go. Okay, so all we need to do is throw. It's kind of the roundabout way of getting to it. All we need to do is throw 4 white petals in here. And now we are going to need some seeds because to complete every petal apothecary recipe you have to throw some seeds in after it. Those are really annoying chickens. So what we're going to do is grab 2, which will give us 4. Drop those in there. You can see them kind of swirling around. Take 1 seed, and we now have a pure white daisy. And then we take another bucket of water. 4 more of these, 1 more seed, and another one. Now the pure white daisies will convert a 1 block radius around them, so 8 blocks each time. They'll only do on the same level as them. They won't go above or below them. So if we take 8 rock, or just plain, it has to be stone, it can't be cobblestone. Put that around it. You'll see the little particle effects floating through it. We're going to grab some wood and do the same thing. It doesn't take long for the conversion process. So we're just going to see if we can see it happening. Apparently it's growly time outside right now. It takes around 60 seconds maybe for these to convert. Usually it's about time you walk away, that's when they'll flip over. So what we'll do while that's going, harvest our iron ore berries. It's like watching paint dry. So we'll empty out our experience. That just goes down into a tank, into a transfer node, and into a barrel, so I don't have to worry about it when I die. There it goes. So now you've got living rock. You can just harvest that with a normal pick. And now we have 8 living rock, and there goes the wood. So we'll grab all of this. And the reason you need this, let's drop all the way back to the beginning. So the basics. Oh, right there, pure daisy. Okay, pure daisy gives us the wood. This is the primary reason we want the wood right now, is we need 2 of them to make a twig. And we need a chest to stuff all these things in because we've just got a ton of flowers. So we'll just stash that over here. Stick all these flowers in there. That random petal. That. Okay, back into there. So we've got our living wood twig from our pure white daisy. Now we need a wand. This is gonna kind of the primary tool in this mod, so we're gonna need 3 twigs, 2 flowers. Okay, that'll give us the rest of our twigs. Now the color petals you pick are the color petals that end up on that wand, so you can mix and match them any way you want. Let's just do red. So here are 2 red flowers. Come over to our crafting table. Those in there, those there, and we've got a wand. And there's our wand. So now we can kind of move forward. Our runic altar. Now see, this is where we need a mana pearl, so we're not going to go that route yet. What we need... Wand of the Forest, Black Lotus. There we go. A mana pool. Someplace to store our mana when we get to that point. This is your first use of the living rock. So we'll do that. This is the weakest pool, the diluted one. It'll hold... It fills up fairly quickly, but in the beginning, it's okay because you don't really have all that much. Because you're not going to have that many flowers right off the bat. So there's your diluted pool. Now if I had mana generating flowers, I'd need a spreader to go along with it. We don't have enough wood to make a spreader. And 8. So what we do is we make some more. And we miss what we're aiming for entirely. And there. So basically this is kind of what I'm going to do. I'm going to gather up a whole bunch of this. What I think I'm going to do is create a Steve's Factory machine similar to this one to harvest the wood and the living stone, just so I can back up a whole bunch of it. Either that or I'll just constantly run back and forth and do it. But I'm going to get a bunch of those ready, and then I think next time we'll start creating the flowers, and I'm going to in between get something around that and get this stuff moved up there, get a water source, that kind of thing. But until then, thank you for watching.